Welcome back to Talking Story. My name is John Midden, and I know it's a little late, but we are going to wrap up the month of November. I had some other videos I wanted to get out before this, so this is coming a bit late in the month, guys. I'm sorry, but we are here now. Let's do it. Let's wrap up the month. We started off our month with a buddy read with Andrew's Wizardly Reads of Mike Shackles' The Last War Trilogy. So we read the first book of that trilogy, We Are the Dead. I absolutely dug this so much. I gave it a 4.75 because I thought I detected a little problem with the plotting, and then the author himself was so nice to hit me up on Twitter and tell me, no, you were reading so frantically towards the end to get that pace that wouldn't let go of my jugular, made me push through so quickly that I missed a little something and I confused two characters. So this has been amended. This absolutely is a 5-star read, and a little bit of a time machine spoiler moment. I've read the second book because we're quite a bit into December, and that's even better. I don't know how he's going to land this plane, but if he lands this plane at all and the people walk away from it, even if they have to slide down that little inflatable chute and walk away from it, this probably is going to make my all-time list for series in the fantasy genre, because I just absolutely adore this. Military fantasy, but it's not just following military characters. It's just everyday people that have to overcome an invasion, an occupation, and the rising of a resistance, and step up when heroes are needed, even though the cost and price is unbearably high. He does the best job of killing your darlings that I can remember in reading lately. I mean, he just puts his characters through a meat grinder, and it is so plotted. That's why that one thing stuck out to me so much that I thought I had to take a little bit of a star off in the plotting area, because it's so meticulously plotted. Every breadcrumb is laid out, and it just leads you down this unrelenting pace of this story. And the characters' arcs are pulling you all the way because you care about these people. And I think because he's a comics fan like me, the villains have a black is black sackcloth hat, and the people you're rooting for have just enough of a white hat on that you feel great about rooting for them. This is grimdark fantasy at its best, I thought. I just absolutely love the series so much, unless I'm completely just let down by the third book, that I don't see how that could possibly happen. I also got to the middle book of the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell. This series, I don't know. This should probably make my best of all times, but it's historical fiction, but I think it's not. I think it is fantasy. There's so much in this book that if you have a little bit of that kid left in your heart, if you have a little bit of that magic in you, that you can see magic in the world, you believe just enough of Merlin's quest trying to get that cauldron and what it means to the world to think that this is a little bit of magical realism going on in the world. And just, the characters of Durfel and Arthur's journey, even if it's at divine consequence to himself, to stand on his principles of might for right and justice. It was just gut-wrenching at times and truly magical at times. And I'm putting together my top 10 moments of this series, and I think I'm already at 10 just after reading book 2, because there was just so many times in this book, particularly this second book, that I just had to, wow, that's going to stick with me. I got to add that to the list right away. So I'm not quite sure where to put this as far as genre goes, but I will say, just as reads go, I'm pretty positive this book too is going to go on my best reads of the year, because I found this to be just exceptional. And I've been a sucker for Arthurian legends forever, and this is absolutely not letting me down in any way. After that, I wanted to take a little bit of a break, so I just kind of went in for some comics, and this let me down. Batman Brave and the Bold. I started on this, and I got the first 6 so I could read them all together. And I started on this because I knew it was going to have a Tom King story that was kind of Batman's first encounter with the Joker. And I really, really enjoyed Tom King's run on the main series, and I wanted to see what he did here. And Brave and the Bold historically has such a great, great pedigree and history of bringing the character of Batman together with someone else, the brave and the bold, maybe off the beaten path, maybe one of the big 3, Superman, Wonder Woman, maybe Etrigan the Demon, maybe Deadman, maybe Hawkman, maybe the Atom. He's someone that, you wouldn't necessarily see Batman working with. And that's what I was hoping for. Some great creators bringing some weird, different character combinations with Batman and giving me great stories. This is not that. It's got a pretty good authority story in there, but it's not what I was hoping for. Overall, I've read the first 6, and I'm pretty close to positive I'm going to take this off my pull list because, with the title like The Brave and the Bold and what I was thinking this was going to be, and the price tag on these Prestige Edition comics is, I'm spending a pretty penny on each one of these, and if it's not exactly what I want, my read money could be going somewhere else. So this was a bit of a disappointment for me, and I think I probably will stop that series. I haven't made the complete decision yet, but I'm about 90% sure. After that, I still wanted to keep it light. A little bit of adventure, a little bit of steampunk, a little bit of Cosmere goodness. So in my Cosmere catch-up, it was time to go into Mistborn Era 2. So I read the first book of that, The Alloy of Law, and I really, really enjoyed this. It was a little bit of steampunky, gas lampy, Western feel, Sherlock Holmesian feel. It was a bit of a genre blender for me, but it absolutely solidified my idea that more so than Sanderson wanting to be a Tolkien, a new heavyweight in fantasy, which he is, of course, but I see him trying to be like the next Stan Lee. I mean, really creating a universe of stories, so many different flavors and tones to the universe, somehow all tied together with this cosmology, but at the same time able to deliver so many different stories in tones and character and flavor. I really enjoyed this. I wouldn't rank it up there as high as Mistborn Era 1, but just as I think I read this in 3 days. I mean, just a quick adventure romp. I thought it was just a great start. And my Cosmere catch-up catalog in order said that I should pick up and read the short story after this of Alamancer Jack, so I did that, and that was a nice fun. It was kind of like a 1940s serial romp type of thing in little chunks, and I did enjoy that. I did enjoy filling in some of the holes between Era 1 and Era 2 of how some of these creatures were getting on. No spoilers here, but I did have a good time with this, as I have pretty much everything out of this book. The short stories in and amongst between the main books, I thought have been a really great read. That's maybe one of my top novellas for the year, down to, that's at least a fun read, but nothing's completely clinked for me out of this book. So I've had a great time. After that, I grabbed Jonathan Marbury's Kagan the Dam. Now, I've been building up to this my whole reading year. I've been trying to catch up with Marbury. Marbury's somebody I've been reading for many, many years. And I know this takes place in his shared universe. This is after the Joe Ledger series, after Joe Ledger and his group of mercenaries can't save the world, and after the fall of the zombie apocalypse as told in the zombie books, the Dead of Night books, and the Of Rotten Ruin YA series, after the fall. This takes place 50,000 years after that fall, when civilization is kind of coming back, and we're having a bit of a sword and sorcery feel to civilization. And this is like a, wow, just, it's like a classic sword and sorcery. If you like Elric or Drist or Conan, and you like any of those, boy, single heroes put against it that have to rise to the occasion and put through the meat grinder, this will deliver for you. This is as dark as you can imagine somebody that is known for their horror writing would be. He has won the Stoker Award, the Bram Stoker Award 5 times, I believe. And this pulls no punches. There are moments of this. Ooh, I will give you some trigger warnings. It is cringy. It is. Wow, that's dark. But he goes there, and hats off for him, because that's the kind of brutal world that he's building. This is Kagan. He comes from a family of heroes. His mother is known as the I can't remember the exact title. The Thorn, the Rose Thorn or something. She is like the greatest knife fighter in the kingdom. He is charged with taking care of the royal family, the children. The royal family is under his protection. And one night while he's actually off duty, not even in the castle, that entire group of children, 5 children, are taken out during an invasion from this. It's much like a holy war, from this other group of believers that have been squeezed down for a long, long time, and now they're back into ascendancy, and they're rolling over the Silver Empire. And after this brutal letdown of his duty, he is just could not be lower. He feels his gods have turned his back on him, and he sets out on a journey of redemption and revenge, coming across some found family on the way. And it's just, it's got those moments of, if you love Lovecraftian influences, it has those moments of the old gods creeping in now that the world has been laid low. It's got those moments like Elric of the multi-universal moments. It's got some of the old myths, some vampirism or fairy put in there with some new spin to it. It's just truly an interesting new take from somebody that doesn't generally work in the fantasy realm doing sword and sorcery high fantasy, and I found it to be just a great fun ride. And as Jonathan Maubory, I've been reading for years and years, he has agreed to come on the channel and talk to us. So later on this month, we will be talking to Jonathan Maubory about Kagan the Damned. The first 2 books are out. There's a short story that comes between book 1 and 2 that are out, and book 3 is coming out in 2024. So we will talk about Kagan, we will talk about Joe Ledger, we will talk about the zombie books, we will talk about all kinds of things with Jonathan Maubory, New York Times best-selling author and 5-time Stoker Award winner, coming up on the channel, so do not miss that. And I wrapped up this month's read with Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruocchio, the beginning of the Sun Eater Saga. Now, I've had so many people out there hitting me up in comments going, wow, the way you approach these books and themes, we've watched you reading enough. We think this is going to be your bag, baby. You got to get into this. We cannot wait for you to get into this. And boy, were each and every one of you right. This was phenomenal. Not a quick read by any stretch of the imagination. Had to set it aside a couple times and feed that hamster some super fuel to spin that wheel so I could contemplate what was going on in this. We've got a very character-driven, internal, metaphysical journey to enlightenment of Hadrian Marlowe as he leaves his family in the aristocracy and starts to learn about, in this case, the wider galaxy and what authority has done to it, the yokes of control on it, what is on the outside of what we understand, because there's always something larger than us. And it kind of mirrors Siddhartha's journey to transcendence as the Buddha. There's so much philosophically going on, and he does such an amazing job of building this galaxy-spanning world in the book through the stories that have made us who we are. There's little moments and tidbits of Christopher Marlowe or William Shakespeare or Rudyard Kipling or George Orwell. They're in there. Some things from our actual history, like what happened to Galileo when he said the Earth is not the center of the universe, but we are actually moving around the cosmos. And how the church responded to that. There's shades of that. There's so much in there that we can recognize and be familiar with, even though this is thousands of years in our future. We can still understand the motivations of the character and the journey the characters are taking, because he builds his world through story that we are all so familiar with and can attach ourselves to, that actually exist in our gestalt at this point because they have become such a part of it. And I was just loved every bit of that. And I got a chance to speak to him and talk to him about all those things. If you haven't checked out the interview on the channel between me and Christopher Rocchio, please do so. What a great, open, genuine, just nice guy. And I just am so blown away by what he has been able to create at an unbelievably young age. He started working on this at 18 and basically had it coming out at 22. At 22, I'm just astounded. Book 6 will be out this year, April of this year. Book 7 coming out hopefully very, very soon. And I will be reading each and every one of not only the books, but the short stories and novellas that come in between the books, because I am absolutely all in on this ride. So that kind of wraps up my November, guys. It was a very productive reading month. I'm sure you would agree. Some disappointments, but mostly, again, since I've been on this booktube journey and I have been listening to you, other booktubers, and you in my comments say, have you thought about this? Have you checked that out? Have you read this yet? I have really not come across a clinker or just a dog or something that I just did not enjoy on any way, shape, or form since I've started this journey. And I could not be more thankful for each and every one of you for doing that. Please. Oh, and I almost forgot. I do believe this was the month that I read The Way of Adon by Philip Chase. I'm almost positive I do one indie published book a month. I don't see it in here because I had it as an ebook. So let me throw that out there as well. Wow, I'm pretty sure that book is going to be on my best reads of the year, because I was absolutely smitten by how he was able to walk that knife's edge of classical prose with new sensibilities. And I was just blown away. And so much so that I had to buy all 3 books physical form because I want them on my shelf. Even though I've already read book 1, I had to get them all because they belong on my shelf if what happens in this trilogy is what I think will happen in this trilogy. And it's a spiritual journey as well. And I got a chance to talk to Dr. Chase, and it somewhat mirrors some of his journey. And I could just not be more thankful and humbled for him to spend the time that he did with me to talk over everything about Day Raven's journey and all the other main protagonists' journey in that trilogy. That I was just absolutely love the way he used story as well in it and made story so important to it. And if you haven't checked out that great indie trilogy yet, please, if you like a classical fantasy feel, you should most assuredly do that. I do think that's going to make my top list coming up this year. So that is the full month of November. One book that's not even on the stack. So, wow, what a productive month. And again, thanks to you guys for making all the recommendations, getting me on this indie journey, which I would have not even realized was out there, and all the other recommendations. Let me know how your November was. Let me know if it was as productive as mine. Let me know if you found a new favorite. Let me know if there's something I should stay away from. Let me know if there's something I should put on the very top of my TBR immediately. I love comments. I want to hear it all. Hit me up with them. I will answer them as quickly as humanly possible. And while you're here, if you've not done it before, hey, there's that thumbs up button right down there and that subscribe button. Hit that. Feels good to do it. If you like the channel, it helps support us and helps us grow. That is it for me, guys. Big apology for Philip Chase. I almost forgot his book, which was a highlight from my month reading this month. So thank you so much for tuning in again. My name is John Minton, and this has been Talking Story.